Hello. Today we're going to talk about belts and buckles. And I've gone ahead and I've drawn out this simple belt on a garment that I had previously made. Now, before we add the buckle, let me tell you something about the belt. The belt is of mesh fabric. And when you talk about belts and buckles, the maybe the hardest thing sometimes can be the belt, you threading it through the buckle. Here, there are some things you have to take into consideration before you do that. Now, to prepare the belt mesh, the best thing to do is to lower the particle distance. If you have problems, you lower the particle distance because sometimes in a minute I'll demonstrate you can see that when you simulate, you try to get it through the buckle, that then you have a collision problems. Sometimes the buckle goes through the belt goes through the buckle, and the whole bit. So the idea is that this belt has to bend around the buckle. So what we want to do immediately is we want to decrease the particle distance. Okay? So we want smaller polygons as small as possible. We can just decrease it to 5, put it down to 5 or 3. But I'm going to put it down to 5. So we want to already start to prepare in order to avoid problems. So we're going to select this, and here we're going to put 5 as the value for the particle distance. Now, saying that, now it's time to let's bring in a trim from the Style3D's library. So here we're going to click on this icon here near the object browser and trim here, buckle, and we can bring in this buckle here. Now, if you've noticed, when we bring in the buckle, it goes to the floor. So here, with the help of the gizmo, we're going to have to put it up here. And we're going to bring it to the mid part here of the belt. Now, this buckle is a trim, and a trim is an asset that they create. Okay, they create all sorts of accessories, trims, bows, and these are assets, and these come along with their own properties. Um, the important thing here is that they come along with their properties, and another important property we have to talk about is the collision. So we spoke about the mesh for the belt, and we also the collision for the belt and the collision for this buckle. So for the belt here, I'm just going to go back to the belt a second. If we click on it and we look in the property editor, here is the extra collision thickness. This is a value that you can change if you run into problems. Okay? So sometimes you have to put it a little lower. Sometimes you have to put this extra collision thickness even higher. So this collision is something you have to take into consideration. Now, the trims that are here in Style 3D, they if you click on it here in the 3D window, look at the property editor a bit here, and you'll see collision. And it's important to turn it on. Okay? But you see collision, but they haven't given any values. If that's the case, we know that then we have to work with the belt if we have problems. If we have problems, then we would have to work with the belt. So there, the belt, number one, for the mesh, we've decreased the particle distance. And number two, we're going to try now to put the belt here into the trim and see, pass it through the trim and see if what happens. Now, let's talk about the trim a bit. This trim here can be, we can scale it, and we can also scale it on different axes, etc., etc. So here to scale it, if you click on this, you'll see this gizmo that comes up here. Here, this arm here, this yellow highlighted arm here, you scale it, the whole trim. This one instead, you scale it on like the x-axis, and this one on the y. Okay, you make it like this, taller. So here we can do like this, scale it up like this a bit, and then we can always scale it down when the belt is inserted. So this trim here becomes part of the belt, okay, when we add it. So let's see, we're going to, not this one, we're just going to try to move it closer, because now we're going to try to insert the belt. Another thing here, if we click on the buckle, okay, here we see where we can change the rendering type, okay, of the buckle. Can make it all these things, silky, velvety, and all that. And we can also change the color. There is the normal map and all these other properties. So just keep that in mind. Now, the most important thing now is we're going to just insert this in there. And what we have to do is we have to go up here to our fix spin tool, but here the little click on the arrow and select the mesh box. When we select the mesh box here, we go back to the belt. Okay, we're concerned about the belt, and we have to sort of pick up this area and pull it up, okay, so that it covers this pin. So we do like this. We draw this rectangular, okay, box. Okay, that was done well. Control Z. We're going to draw it out a little better. We draw this rectangular box here like this. Okay, that's better. And we're going to turn it. I'm going to turn it like this. I'll show you. Here with the gizmo, the yellow highlighted square, I'm going to pull it up like that. And what I'm doing is pulling the material through. Okay? So that I'm sure at least I've got most of the material, I think. I'll pull it a little bit more again. Let's do that. Okay. Like that. So we go to our select move tool. We simulate and see what happens. Okay, let's try at this point to pull out the material and see what happens. What we can do is we can do a thing here. We can freeze the, we'll stop simulation. click on the trim, and here in the property editor, there's freeze. So we can sort of freeze the trim and try to pull this material out. Okay? So let's go. With that frozen and in place, let's pull and see what happens. Okay, so far so good. And here it is. So this freeze property too does help you along to help you to manipulate this the trim and the belt. And here it is. You can unfreeze this and you can even simulate, and here everything stays in place. So this is the just the basic belt and the buckle. Now I am going to be doing the intermediate courses, and I'm going to be showing you eventually the more complicated buckles, the ones with the pins. But the important thing to remember, you remember the basics. Remember the basics. Try to understand the basics about the belt with the mesh and collision properties, and also that the fact you have to work with this trim or maybe other trims that you can import, or maybe in even in other programs that where the trims have the properties all listed. You have to then go there and you can just manipulate those, change the values. So that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.